Former Sony boss Shawn Layden is fearful of industry consolidation. I know that's kind of a big word here, but just follow along with me real quickly here. It's been almost 2 years since the former Sony Worldwide Studios chairman Shawn Layden very hurriedly left PlayStation. By the way, this news comes to us via pushsquare.com from Liam Croft. All right. So Shawn Layden very hurriedly left PlayStation with nothing but a tweet marking his departure. There have always been questions about what happened in the time since, but today the businessman announces he has taken up a position on the Streamline Media Group Advisory Board. Accompanying this is a new interview with GameIndustry.biz, where Layden speaks of his fears surrounding studio acquisitions and industry consolidation. By the way, at Crossroads, we've talked about this subject a lot. You know, we've had the Microsoft Bethesda ZeniMax thing going on. We've got Sony buying up studios and stuff like that. We're waiting to see what Nintendo may be doing soon. Heck, even freaking the Epic Game Store has gotten in on some of this. So there's a lot of stuff going around. All right, but going back to the article. With the cost to produce games always rising, Layden quotes that PS4 titles were costing anywhere from $100 million to $150 million to produce, and PS5 games could be in upwards $200 million. He thinks it will be very difficult for smaller developers to compete in this space. He then moves on to the topic of consolidation, warning the industry isn't the right way of going about its business. Actually, I just read that like that, and it seems kind of weird. So let me try and paraphrase that real quickly. He goes with a warning by saying that the industry may be in trouble if it adapts to this line of business. Does that sound better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
For yourself, buddy. You got it.
All right. In his quote, Shawn Layden says, "Consolidation is the enemy of diversity in some ways. It takes a lot of playing pieces off the table as they grow into these larger conglomerates. And again, we end up with this problem with diversity. Music on a revenue basis is probably 1/5 of the game space, but their cultural impact is 100 times what gaming is. Right now, we are narrowing ourselves down in genres and sequels in certain types of games. Favorites like my own, like Parappa and Vib Ribbon, those things don't seem to get a chance to come out on stage. That's bad for the industry, for fans. Over time, that leads to a crumbling of the games industry if we keep talking about the same people and telling the same stories in the same way." All right, we're gonna pause real quickly on that because what do you guys think of that? Because I feel like even as like the industry is consolidating, if the industry is consolidating the way he says, I still see new and unique stories coming out. I still see that. What do you guys say about that? Because I don't know. I feel like he might be crying wolf, and maybe too early to do it. But I feel like saying it like this is basically going to be a way to just put people on edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see it like how it would be going that way. They're kind of doing that in movies. Everything's getting consolidated down. You're getting a lot of sequels and all of that good stuff. And it's the same story over and over again. But it's what people video games are an industry. If that's what people are going for, they're why would you change the formula? But the formula leaves out people like independent companies, and it closes a lot of doors.
I've been back and forth on quite a few of the Boss Rush shows from Crossroads to the Boss Rush podcast and Nintendo Power Block to Arsenal X. And the one thing I say is these companies like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they read the room. Like they pay attention to what games sell and what games don't sell. And there's like a metric for like what they consider success. So like when we get upset about studios like Japan Studio closing, for example, they had some pretty unique and pretty interesting, if not far out type games and stuff like that. But like Sony held on to them for a long time, even though their games weren't really selling a lot. And we can get mad at companies when they do this stuff, but at the same time, we need to be just a little upset at ourselves because like if there was an interest in this stuff, they would still have these studios around and still make them and stuff like that. And consolidation of studios, into mega studios, let's just say, I don't know if I see anything wrong with it as of yet, as long as like the companies like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo are allowing the developers to do what they want to do. I guarantee you, like we're gonna get into this topic. We're gonna get into this topic next, but a company like Media Molecule, for example, like they tried it out, Little Big Planet, and look what they do now. Look what they do now.
Yeah, but I think
which is even more niche than Little Big Planet.
Yeah, but then we have, as smaller developers are actually taken up by these larger teams, we are then forced with a larger gap in between big releases. I mean, having a PS5, other than Ratchet and Clank and Returnal, and you could kind of make the argument with Demon's Souls, even though it is a remake, there hasn't been a steady flow. We still don't even know the two big releases that are going to be upcoming with the God of War and Horizon series. And we don't even have time frames for them right now, and then what does that do for other games? I mean, we do have Kena, which looks fantastic, but that's an independent studio, and they were able to do that. But if they get consumed by these other larger studios to be forced upon, working on something else, I think that's another thing that we have at jeopardy.
I think he's a little bit off with the amount of money too. Like, just because it cost a lot of money doesn't mean people are going to play it. I mean, look at Minecraft. How much money could that have cost to make? And it made him just a fuck ton of money.
I feel like they spend more money now on server costs than they did on the actual development of that game.
I was about to say the same exact thing.
Exactly. Right. I mean, how much does Fortnite cost to make? People are literally handing them money to get their stuff in it. So, you could still get that diversity. You don't need everything under one umbrella, because that kind of, I don't know. I feel like it dilutes it. It dilutes creativity of developers.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to this last paragraph here in this topic. Which is actually a recap of what I said earlier. Most recently, Sony has acquired return developer Housemarque, and there's also reason to believe that Bluepoint Games has been bought. It hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm surprised, because we talked about that 2 weeks ago, right? When it accidentally got leaked. That's crazy. Before then, Marvel Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank ripped apart studio Insomniac Games, of course, became a Sony franchise. And Microsoft has been making big money moves after getting Bethesda and ZeniMax and a raft of other developers into its own fold. It's time to judge whether more acquisitions are on the way, which I believe they are. But Layden is clear in his wording. This isn't the way the industry should be going about business if it doesn't want to stifle creativity and diversity. So that was his take on it. I will say, yeah, there is a little room to worry about, like, creativity and diversity. But the one thing I will say is, if the companies, like the big companies, like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and stuff, some of these companies have their wording down and saying that these companies, even though they're coming into our fold, we're gonna allow them to maintain their identity. As long as they're keeping up that part of the bargain, I don't see this whole industry being in any type of danger zone as far as what may go on, in the future and stuff like that. What I will worry about, though, is like when companies like Activision and EA get their hands on stuff, and then all of a sudden all we see is like we don't just see Call of Duties, or we don't just see Maddens, but we see spin-offs of those that might as well have been Call of Duties and Maddens, and and all that stuff. So there.
Yeah, it's a solid point.
Yeah. My question for everybody here is, given that diversity is always a pinnacle of gaming and development, do you feel a business model of acquisition may be a true evil in the gaming industry? I don't know. It feels like I kind of regurgitated an earlier statement from that paragraph into this, but like, are we in danger?
I don't see it being in danger. I mean,
I think danger is like a strong word at this point.
Yeah, it's concerning to some degree. I think that you touched on with EA and Activision, companies like that. I know that we're going to discuss another EA title that's coming out, but I know that the series had a big change in the third one in that release that really upset fans of that series. Indeed. So, we actually have things like that take place. That's where things are missed with these acquisitions. You know, when bigger companies don't let these studios act the way that they need, you know, and they interrupt that flow.
You lose the things that make games special.
Yeah,
You know
it becomes, like I said, it's about money. It's not about development. And eventually, you're going to get people who are like, no, just make Call of Duty. But I want to make this really cool thing. But no, you're just going to make Call of Duty. It really, like I said, dilutes it.
It really just it would have to be like really bad for it to get to that point, because you would think that basically if it's not on Xbox Game Pass and then PlayStation's version of Game Pass and Nintendo's version of Game Pass, then it's not getting made because no one wants it because it's not part of the subscription. I feel like as long as we have those open lanes still available, there's going to be people making games, and there's still going to be the ones that shine. And I mean, even if, you know, it ended up being that way where all three of them have their own versions of Game Pass and stuff like that, they're going to find those small time artists because people still play those games. It's just going to be fewer and far between because they got to take more risk on those type of games. But also those games are cheaper to make, and people will still buy them, you know, and people still support them. So
can I say this about like Game Pass and like its competitors? I think those are the ones that are going to put like some of these studios in jeopardy. If I'm being completely honest, because here's what's going to happen. Like, you know, like people are going to flock to Game Pass. I'm just going to use Game Pass as the example because Game Pass is the biggest one. I'm not really like trying to punch up at it, but Game Pass is the biggest one out there. It's the most easily recognizable one. So we have all these studios, like all their stuff is on all this stuff is on Game Pass and stuff like that. You know, like, yes, we're going to get some people who will actually play games on Game Pass that they would not have actually went and shelled out their own money for, because it's a lot easier to swallow like $9, $14 or $20 depending on the package and stuff like that, versus going out and spending a whole $40 for, you know, like an independent project and things like that. You know, like they won't take that chance and things like that. I feel like that model is what may put like indies and like more diverse games in trouble, because it's real easy, like, you know, like I guarantee you people are going to be in my DMs and my mentions tonight as soon as I say this. But we've got cheap ass gamers out there. They don't want to spend $60 and $70 on AAA titles, especially AAA titles they probably played over and over again throughout the last 35 years of gaming history and stuff like that. But but they're going to be so hell bent on playing like the next big Call of Duty, the next big Battlefield, the next big whatever, that, you know, like a game like I don't know. There's an indie on my mind right now, but I can't get the name out. But they're gonna forsake that one, and that one's just gonna sit in like a bit of limbo or hell, you know, on a site, but it never made actual sales on the physical storefront.
Well, and this is a simple example of what you're talking about, and this isn't even an indie company. This is Bandai Namco I'm talking about. With Scarlet Nexus, Xbox paid a lot for their advertising on Scarlet Nexus. They took care of the advertisements for Scarlet Nexus so much that people thought it was an Xbox exclusive game. But when it came out and it wasn't on Game Pass, no one on Xbox bought it. PlayStation destroyed them in sales. And why? Because why would you buy it when it might come to Game Pass later?
Yeah,
and I feel like that might be the problem with some of these. With like, that's kind of the downside of Game Pass, is that and maybe it was Bandai's fault. Maybe Bandai's like, no, we don't put our game on Game Pass. And that would be stupid on them to not take free money from Xbox. I mean, maybe they thought they could sell more, but it's clear that PlayStation gamers are willing to pay for it because we don't have that same structure that Xbox does. Because we might get it free for PS Plus 1 month, but that's going to be years from now.
Right.
So if you want to be a part of the conversation, you got to get it now. Whereas Xbox, it's definitely, we can wait. And then when it comes on Xbox Game Pass in about 6 months, everyone's going to be playing it, and everyone will still have that conversation again. So,
yep.
Kind of like I found out Back for Blood is actually going to be on Game Pass the day of release.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I feel like that's
money with that.
I feel like that screws with their sales bottom line.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was thinking of.
I mean, I'm getting it on PC, so they automatically got 60. I don't know, it might be $60 on PC, but it might just be $70 just to match the current pricing scheme of games now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting it on PC, so like they've got a guaranteed sale for me, with or without Game Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know about PC, but I'm pretty sure it's $70 on PS5 because it's on the where you can pre-order it. So
yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of, I'm not gonna call them evils, but there's a lot of random elements that I think ultimately can also hurt diversity and smaller studios and developers and stuff like that. So
right.
I think this is a topic we should come back to later on in a future episode and stuff like that, because it's pretty interesting, and we obviously had a lot of different takes and good input on this one.